Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. We start to see here a bit of downside pressure come in. Obviously, the red resistance area was there on the chart for everybody to see, hopefully large enough. These resistance areas are typically areas where we at least expect a reaction. I mean, if it happens is another question, but typically we have to expect the market to show some kind of reaction there. The reaction that we have seen so far is quite noticeable, and I just want to take the opportunity to explain again where we come from, that so far the structure is pretty much playing out nicely. I mean, of course, the market could still grind higher in the white scenario, but as I said before, we need to break above resistance for that, right? That's essentially what this resistance area is for. It's like a barrier and a decision area, a pivot. And as long as we stay below resistance, the orange scenario is very, very likely, especially as long as the rally is only a three-wave move. So we've seen that rally develop into the September high. But September overall is not a very strong month, at least historically. And I've said it before. And I mean, I can't influence that, right? There were a lot of people out there who said that this time is going to be different. But I've shown you many, many times. I mean, I get it. We produce a lot of updates here. Which people appreciate, and I know it. You can't watch every video, probably not. Some people do. I mean, there was recently someone who said he's been watching every single video for 2 years. Respect. But I mean, that's why I repeat the content again and again, and we take a look at the stuff on a daily basis again and again. So I showed you many times that September is historically not really the strongest month, but very often, and we can take a look at seasonalities here for Bitcoin. Can I actually zoom in a bit? Yeah. Seasonalities. Now, this shows Bitcoin's just chart history over 10 years. I mean, we can even go a little further out, right, and see if that changes anything. But really, what you see here is that historically, at some point in September, so what we see is that usually in August, there's typically a high that forms, right? Typically a high. I mean, this is an average over like 13 years now. Doesn't matter. I could, yeah, just leave it like that. So I could add another year. Doesn't matter. But typically a high forms in August, right? I mean, did we form a high in August? Let's take a look. Oh yeah, look, surprise, right? So yeah, a high typically forms in August. And again, that's just seasonalities. That's what usually happens, right? It doesn't mean that this has to happen every cycle. At some point, the market will take that away from people, right? This like the advantage of trying to understand that because it happened in the past, it has to happen again. That it doesn't have to be like that, right? That's why we use not only seasonalities, but we use primarily our Elliott Wave structures so that we understand the trend on the different time frames. But yeah, I mean, look, a high forms, and then typically at some point in September a low. Typically, I mean, that might drag into October, yeah. But what we can see is that typically October, November, December, it's the most bullish quarter. September is often the time where a low forms. So, I mean, that might be now, maybe the low has already formed, maybe we get another low. What I can tell you is we have no evidence that a bull market cycle is complete. I believe we are in the late stages of the cycle, and if things happen as they did before, then we should form a top in Q4. Yeah. I mean, things might be different this time, which is exactly why we use Elliott Wave, right? There are a lot of people out there who just say, oh, there has to be another rally, and they just look at patterns from the past and they think they can predict the future based on that. Well, we can use that information from the past as context, yeah, but we always have to focus on what's happening right now. So, and the ability to do that, right, that's very, very powerful. And Elliott Wave gives us that ability. But yeah, I mean, so far, the market has formed a high in August as before and has formed some kind of a low in September. I'm not sure if this is going to be the September low or we form another low in September. As you've seen here, September is typically a pretty flat month, rather bearish, often the most bearish month. Yeah, what many people say. You actually see it here. Average return by month is the worst in September. It is. Sometimes even in August and June, they are not very good months, but over a period of 13 years, September is the worst. and then November is the best. It's just what the data's telling me, right? I'm not, it's not me trying to predict that. It's what happened in the past. So, and that's why it kind of made sense to at least be ready for a B wave top here. Now, I want to take the opportunity to answer a question from a member on Discord. So I was asked what the projection is for the C wave. Okay, so if this now plays out, which is not set in stone, right? Nothing is guaranteed in the markets. We just follow a thesis, and there are conditions that need to be fulfilled, certain parameters for a roadmap. There are basically two here, yeah? Either it should form an ABC structure, or we go higher more directly. In this scenario, it could be a wave 5, or we could be in a C wave. There are very clear invalidation points for both, and these are just two scenarios out of, you could say, the infinity of potentials out there. I mean, I could also show you a triangle. Could show you some kind of a complex correction, but at the moment, we're focusing on the two most probable scenarios here. And that's very actionable because each of them has a invalidation point. So all you need really to trade is you need to understand a bullish and a bearish scenario and the pivot in between, the risk level, where probabilities are shifting. Yeah, and that's all you really need. But anyway, the question was where this C wave should ideally get to. And I talked about the 102K level. That's correct, roughly. That's the 100% extension. But the question went further. It was around, it's actually here, 101,800 roughly. Does the market have to get there? Because apparently there's a lot of support along the way, and there is. The market doesn't have to do anything. Yeah, this is obviously a probabilistic framework, and C wave target 100% extension is an ideal target, which means if we get there, this would be an ideal target area to watch, an ideal support area, an area where we can expect a bounce. But it's way too early to say, this is the C wave. We don't even have a 5-wave move down. So we're still building that thesis, yeah. I would not be surprised if the market grinds higher directly because we only have a 3-wave move down. We're basically in an environment in which the price might have topped in the B wave, but it still leaves room for a direct move up, which you will see on the shorter time frame. But yeah, the market doesn't have to do anything. I mean, structures evolve and they are dynamic. And first of all, C waves can be a little shorter, yeah. And if at any point in this move to the downside, if it even unfolds like that, we see a micro 5-wave move up, well, that is a signal, right? It's not a failure of the analysis. It's a signal that the market plans to go up again. It's the ability to be able to identify where the trend is going at the moment. And I mean, you could argue that maybe we've started the decline, but as I said before, we don't have a 5-wave move down yet. I'm simply showing you how would that 5-wave move down look like. If we then get a 3-wave move up, that would even be an Elliott Wave short trade setup, a 1-2 setup to the downside. We don't have that yet. We have a 3-wave move down into a support area, which is between 109,477 to 112,460. However, in that case, this here is only a 3-wave move up as far as I can tell. But I want to give it the chance as a 1-2 setup, which means this is an area to watch here. If we see any impulsive reaction to the upside and a break above the green line at around 116,230, guys, that's a bullish signal. Yeah. As I said, usually in September, a low of sorts forms. It could be the low from the 1st of September. Overall, I'm still looking for higher prices, whether that's after the C wave down or in a direct fashion. The overall direction is still up, in my opinion, because we are holding above relevant moving averages, above relevant support levels, and we haven't got any clear 5-wave move down from the recent high. So I keep you updated about that. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, make sure to check out our membership options, but also feel free to join us on X for additional updates, charts, news, and much more. The link is in the description and in the comment section. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.